Hello and welcome. My name is Martin Close, and this is the Classical Art Academy online art school. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Classical Art Academy's online stream, 5 at Live. Tonight, we're going to be doing a Christmassy snowscape, and he said seascape, a snow scene for Christmas, as through popular demand. And I've got a 2 foot by 1 foot canvas on here, and I've already made 1 or 2 preliminary sketches. You can see that as if I overlay that on top of the canvas. I use a concept design sketch in charcoal purely and simply to get across the design and the concept of the whole thing. So we can change anything so quickly, and you can do one of these in about 5 minutes. I'll probably do another video on just the benefits of the design sketches in charcoal, because I think it's really a worthwhile process. But what this does, it tells me where to put things. It helps me define, do I want to put this here, or do I move this across? Is this too high? Is this in the right place? What's going on with just the design process? And from that, totally unrelated in size, but I just wanted to check out how certain aspects of it looked. I then went ahead and did a fairly simple imprimatura, just again to see how things worked as this is going down here, the string coming across, just to get the design right. So what we're going to do today is, I think I've chosen that as a design for the painting, and we're going to start with an imprimatura. Now, imprimatura, if you're a student of mine, you know that it just simply means first layer, or the beginning of a painting. Over here you can see I've got 2 colours out, French ultramarine blue and raw umber. If we mix those 2 together, raw umber is like a dark yellowy orange, and a complementary, let's get a bit more umber on there, complementary of blue. And so when we mix the 2 together, it'll darken the blue almost to a black. I want to keep it blue-esque. I don't want to go completely brown on this one. So I'm looking for an indigo color, a very dark blue-black.
So Martin, what did make you choose the composition you did?
Rachel's just asked, who's sitting in the back of the studio, what made me choose this particular composition and why. I wanted a couple of elements. Firstly, it has to be a snow scene at Christmas. This started life as a path. It might end up as a path again, but it's kind of evolved into a stream. I think the importance, I like things like this, especially if I'm doing a woodland scene, where this leads you into the painting or leads you through the woods. And it gives your eye something to, it's like a journey, it's going on a journey, which makes it, I think, be more interesting. Take this away and it's a lot less interesting. The houses here, the buildings, again, I think through popular demand, we wanted to have some kind of Christmassy buildings in there. Also, this could emit a warm light as well and create shadows and interest. The reason I've got the trees in the background is to create the darkest dark, or one of the darkest darks of the painting will be against literally the lightest light of the roof of the buildings. And then just to diffuse it up with a hill, so we've got something nice coming down here, which leads in. It's almost like a zigzag going across the painting. I didn't want to go too heavy on trees. This one I think is fine. The others we're going to mist out. And I kind of like the idea of, and again, this is something I want to explore. I quite like the idea of a warm orangey fog mist, like a sunset scene. So what we have here is going to be very diffused, very misty, and actually will hopefully create a lot of distance and depth. And in here, crisp, very, very sharp. And here the highlights will be cooler, but here the highlights will be warm. So again, that'll create some kind of depth within our painting. And you know, you could do 10 of these all different and they'll all be fine. It's just exploring the composition with this sketch. So let's take this down. Let's see how our imprimatur is doing. I just want to stain on this. I think I might have taken it just a little bit too much brown, so I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue on that. I want to kind of give the impression of wintry snow on the imprimatur as well. Let's bring that together. If I get a chance, I also would like to do today is I'd like us to explore what I call almost like a thumbnail painting. Something which is very small. It's almost like maybe just a couple of inches in height and maybe 4 or 5 inches in width. Because we can do something like this very, very quickly. And it's a nice little giveaway at Christmas. So if I get a chance this evening, I'll demonstrate on one of those as well and show you how easy they are to do. Right, let's get on with this. So here's our stain. And this is solvent. It's an odorless solvent. I think I'm currently using, where are we? Yeah, currently Zested. So, but you can get completely odorless solvents now, which is great, and they're fairly healthy to use. So, unlike some of the other products and terps, which are things like that you can get, which just make the whole studio smell really. Okay, so first off, we have a bare canvas. We could kind of start drawing it out, and then you're thinking, oh, what happens if I put it here, or if I put it in the right place? Is it going to be too far left or right? Well, we simply just don't want to worry about that. So we're just going to mess the canvas up. Let's literally get this on as quick as we can. I'm going to make the whole canvas this very dark blue. It's actually, it's quite indigo in colour, which is nice. It'll take a few minutes, I think, to quickly do this. Now this solves a multitude of sins and problems. It doesn't make the canvas precious, so because we've messed it up, therefore we can just focus on the design of the painting. Don't have to worry about getting something in the wrong place, because it doesn't matter, it's all in the wrong place. It also makes you feel like you're doing an awful lot, which is great at this early stage. You get the canvas covered within a few minutes. Now you notice I'm rubbing the stain in, I'm scrubbing it in. I'm not doing this, I'm not painting it, because that would take a month's Sundays. And also you're left with dollops of paint, I dare say. So we want to just rub this stain into the canvas. It's although we're using pigment, we've got, obviously this is oil paint, it's so diluted, it doesn't sit on the surface in dollops. It'll just work its way into the canvas weave. Almost there. Right, that's the fun bit. And you can see it's kind of all blue. Right, so with that in mind, now it's on, we get some cloth, which I've got here. Small piece is all we need. And this is just cotton sheet or a cotton shirt. Okay, here we go. And fold it into a small square, and you've guessed it, wipe it off. It's kind of making sure that the stain is not sitting on the canvas, it's not a big thick layer. And you just want to even this out. Let's get a little bit of cloth. Bring the bin over. That's it. We want to really wipe most of this off. It'll be difficult for us to cut through and lift. Okay. Now, I'm going to get a chisel brush. In actual fact, before I do that, this is going to be our guide sketch. So I'll put that above. I think you can probably see it on the main studio frame, but you won't be able to see it on the canvas. But this is going to be my guide. So it's a guide sketch. So let's zap into it. Now, again, a bit of tissue. And I'm just going to roughly map out what we have. So I don't like things in the middle, so I'm going to mark off where the middle is. That way I can avoid it. Let's get this a little bit nearer. That's our solvent. Going to mark off on the quarter, and then halve those again to get our eighth. Doesn't need to be too accurate. Obviously, if it is, it's better than it being wrong. Now, on our sketch, we have trees coming over here, swooping down. I'm going to go to a slightly bigger brush, I think. Let's go to something. No, that's okay. Let's just, here we go. I'll lift more off with this. So here it is. We just draw out, we just literally rough map out what we see. We're not too worried about anything like colour. I'm only concerning myself with shape. And this is probably where our main tree is going to be. That's on the quarter. Yeah, I think I'm going to just come slightly past that. I want it to be about here so we have a bit of sky showing. And I think bring it down to there. So I'm just going to do a kind of tree-esque shape for the time being. Nothing more than that. And then let's bring this down. So I'm lifting the light parts of the painting. That's all I'm doing, just lifting the light. Anything which is light I want to lift. Everything else we'll keep it dark for the now. Let's get another tissue, or rather piece of cloth, and roll this up. Now the beauty using cotton is that it doesn't come up on the canvas. And you can see that just wipes down to bare canvas. Most of the sunlight, or what's left of it, I'm going to have coming from the right. So the left of the tree, you could say, will be lighter than the right. Let's continue with lifting off. Now, this, I still feel it should be a path, but we'll see how it feels. Path or frozen stream. It's our world, so we can stick it, do with it as we please. I'm not using a photographic reference for this, just thought I'd give it a go and have a bit of an explore. Sometimes that's more fun, and it's also quicker because you don't have to worry about matching everything that's on the. Sometimes you get too carried away with photographs. It becomes all about the photograph and not about the painting. Just left this still. Doesn't look much yet, but it will do shortly. Over here we have some other trees which are in the near ground. And they're on a slight hill. I think I'll push those up a little bit. Have them slightly higher. And that continues. I think again we'll push down to the left of the painting. There we go, trees. Now, let's have a look at this. I kind of think we need to come slightly higher on this background hill. And I see this area here is just fading into mist and fog. Okay, so that's that. A few bits and pieces. I might have a few more distant trees over there. Say trees, that's just going to be shapes in the mists. Right, let's just diffuse that a bit. Yep. Okay, so let's put that brush down. I'm going to apply some darks now, so help us get established as where these are. So I'm using a new brush, it's a chisel again. And let's just map out some of this. So we've got a bit of dark underneath here. I think it's going to be a bit lower. Now I don't have to worry about colour, this is just a stain. All I need to do is concern myself with the shape of the lights and the darks. Some of you understand a painting along with me. Well, that's great, please do, that's really nice to hear. And do remember, you can always re-watch the stream any time of day or night, anytime you please, any week. Just go on the channel, click on the video you want to watch, and it'll play. So you can replay this again and again and again. I'm lifting this. So it's very tempting to go and paint or draw trees right now, but I'm more interested in light and dark. Trees will come in a minute. Now I'm going to put a bit of shadow because the light's coming in this way. This bank, it's a bank by the way, will have some shadow to it. Now, we don't want to go picket line fence. It's very easy to make everything just so with our world, and we want a bit of chaos. We don't want everything too much always in the right place. Lift that off. Lift this off. So I've got two brushes, one's to lift off and one's to stick it on. It gets as technical as that. Where I've lifted a bit too much, I can put the stain back on. Okay. I'm going to go slightly smaller brush now. I think the big brush has done its job, so we'll go for a small lift-off brush. Again, a chisel. I kind of like chisels for a lot of this sort of work. It gives me a nice line. And don't be too worried or precious about this stage of the drawing. For example, say you made a mistake, you put something there. Well, it won't be there in a few minutes. You just, if it's not in the right place, we'll rub it out. Really no stress at all. Just relax into doing this. That's why I like the imprimatura method so much. There you go, so look at that, it's gone. All I have to concern myself with is shape and the design of the painting. I don't have to worry about colour. I just take that and lift that across. Okay, so I think I want to reduce down slightly. Okay. Okay, let's take the majority of that off the cloth. And it begins to form. A bit more of that off. So not being very precious at all. Here's our near snow area, and obviously we're going to have some very near snow area around here, so let's lift some of that off. Again, just lifting the stain. It's very important to make sure you don't use the smutty terps for this. Like I said, this is odorless and very safe. Years ago, artists weren't as lucky as we are today. Which is actually why I'm wearing gloves. These are two gloves I'm wearing. I'm wearing a cotton glove as a liner and then a latex glove on top. A lot of the pigments which are used in art are not as nice as some of the others. So we want to make sure that we keep paint off of our hands if at all possible. Let's change that. Bit of health and safety there. It also means you don't get dirty hands. I'm going to lower this edge down. There we go. just have that leveled out. Working this as I go. It's a bit like making a bit of pottery, I would imagine. Okay, now I'm going to darken this area down quite a bit, so let's just put a bit of stain in there. It's just a dark area. It's shadows, tree line, nothing more. I don't want to make that any more than it is. And I think I quite like to have a bit of dark in this area as well. Notice I'm not worried at all yet about what it looks like as far as detail is concerned. It's just light and dark shapes, creating something of interest. Now, let's see where we are here. Effectively, this is our Christmas tree, so let's have a darker zone. And we'll break it up a little bit as we go up. So just a pattern, trying really hard not to be too tidy with it. Nature has many natural shapes, but so therefore we don't need to be putting any regimented shapes on it to keep it nice and loose. I'm going to put this down as a rough, and then we'll work around what we've got. Dark in here, dark zone, coming around. And this is going to be a painting, like an underpainting. So again, we don't want it to be too detailed. So, but just enough information for us to go and make a nice painting out of it. Okay. Onto the dark area of the base of that. Let's just lift off a bit of that. So, give the impression that, oh, that's a bit thick. Beauty of wearing gloves is you can use your finger. Let's put that in. So the idea is that whatever this hill is, it continues obviously behind the tree. On any heavy paint. And this will have a bit of mist coming up. Now this has been completely made up. So it's nice to have an imaginative moment. I'm looking this way because I can see the computer screen. That gives me the entire image of the painting which I'm doing. It's like one look and I can see everything, whereas otherwise I'd have to walk all the way back here to see the entire painting. So it's a lot easier if I turn my head. That's why I'm doing that, by the way. So let's work this again. Okay, so a bit of taps. want to define some of these as we go. So let's have a quick look at this. I'm going to have another brush in my hand. This is a dry, soft synthetic from Rosemary & Co. And I just want to keep this brush dry and lift as I do this. So I've got a dark area there, but it needs to be a lot lighter at the top. So effectively, this is snow resting on the branches of the tree. I don't need to do any pine needles. I just need to lift this off a little bit. Oopsie. Clean the brush. I'm wiping the brush on a bit of tissue as we go. And just lifting up some of this. Now, somewhere around here there'd be a tree trunk, I would imagine, so we can put one of those in. Two things is going to happen. The sun going across here, let's say the snow is raised up and caused a clinging to the stump of the tree, and there'll be a bit of shadow behind. There we go. Let's just work that in. Carry on lifting, I think. Get a bit of an edge on this. I did think about doing some of these sketches tonight on stream, but I thought to myself, well, it's probably better just to go straight into an imprimatur. Have a bit more time doing that, a bit more relaxed, because there's quite a bit of quite a lot of paint on that brush. I don't want to put paint on, I just want to put a stain up. Right. Soften that a little bit. Bit more. Sharpen that edge. There's hardly anything on this brush, it's just lifting the stain off. And pushing that out a little bit. I want this area to be in a little bit of shadow because obviously there's a tree there, but I don't want it to be too dominant, so I'll lift a bit of that in a sec. And flatten that out. Okay. So let's have a quick peep. It's working quite nice. I think we'll lift a bit of this stream path, whatever it is, we'll decide later. Let's get a slightly bigger brush on lifting that off. Okay. Now, I think just define this a little bit as a shadow. And shadows in the snow will have a sharp bottom edge, but a diffused top edge. That brush has got a bit too much stain on it, so let's wipe that off. You can only create some of this light and dark zones if your brush is not too wet. We're looking at creating some tonal values. So we don't want a too wet a brush. If any of you tried Imprimatura before, I know some of our students here at the Academy would have. One of the biggest things is controlling your values. And you can see here, it's actually quite wet currently. So leave that to dry for a bit. Put a couple of more marks in. It's like an upside down wave, really, I suppose. If you're painting a seascape, the top edge is sharp. And as the water comes down, the bottom of the wave is diffused. With the snow, it's the opposite way round. So just breaking that in. I'll come back to this and these in a second when it's had a chance to dry off, and we'll get a bit more control over the values of those. Now, many of you probably think oil's drying. Gosh, how long have we got? Well, this will be dry. Part of it is already dry within 10-15 minutes. It'll dry very quick. And whilst we work on it, it's great. But if we were to go to lunch or something and I'll have a break now, within about half an hour this will be extremely dry. So I've lifted, and then with this dry brush, soft brush, this is a Series 305 from Rosemary & Co. Beautiful brushes. That's it. So we're beginning to get a little bit of light and dark work going on here. Bring that down. This is all simple design work, nothing else. Actually, from a distance, that already looks like a tree. Pop a bit more of that in. The weight of the snow is obviously pushing the pine branches down. Right, so let's have a quick look. I'm going to put a bit more value in here. Value as in tonal value, nothing else. Good. Again, just at the bottom. Only the bottom because, well, again, the snow is not going to be underneath the tree. Shadows are going to be underneath the tree. And which means whatever snow there is going to be above. Interesting. Now, let's have a quick think. Let's take away our guides. Gone past the point of needing those now. I think we're doing quite well. A bit reluctant in putting any stain on. Just going to put a little bit, I suppose. Okay. And again, it's just messing that up, diffusing it off a bit. Good. Right, so behind these trees, we could have some sky beginning to show through, or at least through the mists. So let's put those in as a shape. There you go, nothing more than that. It's very similar to watercolour, this technique, this process, because you're lifting and applying almost like a wash. That's got too many brushes in my hand, I'm getting confused. Let's put that one down. Right, so I want to really focus on lifting some of this in the near foreground. I haven't got any details on the buildings yet, but I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so bit of taps, and we're off. So a bit breaking out there. Bit of dark coming in. Mindful of my head being in shot. We don't want that. Here we go, I know where it is now. Got a camera above. So objective at this point is to complicate a little. Just get a little bit complicated with it. Not too much for this stage, but I think it's nice to reassure yourself it looks a little tree-esque. So I'm just lifting a little bit of the stain. As we go, and applying a bit of stain should we need it. Make sure your tree is three-dimensional, not a cardboard cutout. This is a lot easier to do if you had obviously a bit of photographic reference. But it's extremely good fun just to let yourself go and let's have a bit of fun. If this painting doesn't work, it's not going to be the end of everything, so just enjoy it. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas as we paint this. So you start, whoops, just dropped the tissue on the deck. So you start with the big outline shapes. If you recall, we started with just a simple cone shape on the canvas. And now we're just complicating it up as we go. And already it's beginning to look, hopefully, it does here, hopefully it does to you too, tree-esque. This is, like I said, an underpainting, so we can change it in the cold light of morning. Add to it, repaint it if necessary. I mean, it's only a stain, so there's no actual investment in paint at all yet, he said, except a big dollop of stain. That'll be reused, by the way. I'll put that in a jar and we'll reuse it. again and again for other imprimaturs. Right. This comes across. That's almost there. I mentioned to one of our students in the academy I was going to do this, I think it was a weekend, and we jokingly talked about putting some coloured baubles on the tree and lights. I don't think that I'll be doing that tonight. But it's, you can make it really good fun. It could be your Christmas card or gift to someone whom you love. Doesn't take much time to get something like this done. I'm going to leave the tree there at that point because I just want to work on something else that's a bit better, and we'll come back to it. So I suppose it's around there. I'm going to try and get a sense of a light coming across. So this is going to be illuminated, so let's just darken that shadow in on the bottom ridge. And yep. Right, let's see about putting these buildings in. So let's put these brushes down. One over there. Actually, I'll keep that one over here. So this is the lift-off brush, removal of the stain brush. Notice I'm holding the brush. I'm not holding it like this. I'm holding it up vertical. And I just want to make a few decisions initially here. I want to decide where the roof is going to, how high the roof is going to be. So I'm going to put a mark in and just step back for a second. I think that's about right. And I'm going to have this running down. You can see it cuts straight through the stain. It's all it is. It's just a virtually dry brush with a bit of solvent on it. And let's bring that across down here. So this is effectively the roof of one. Now I'm saying it's going to be the roof of one. We'll have a look at it and see what we feel. We're painting something which is very chocolate boxy, twee, Christmas theme. So we want to be mindful of just keeping it a bit on this end of real. I feel I don't want to go too Christmas-esque. Yeah, you can see that's pretty much, it's getting there. So we've got a beginnings of a building. It's just a snowy roof. And let's just hint of a wall at that point. That's too big a hint, so we'll put it back a bit. Stain on. That's better. And to make that pop out, I'm going to lift the snow in front of that. And around here. There we go. We can have a bit of something in the side of that house in a sec. Okay, so with the little brush, I'm just going to check in with Rachel, make sure you guys can hear me okay, everything's fine. Everything good? Excellent. Carry on. So now work this down a bit and come back to that in a second. That's a rough place for one house. Now let's get another house in. So let's come. I was wondering if I can just make that a little bit lower down there. Is that good or not? Yeah, I think that's better. Because we're looking up at it. And the other thing I want to do is just lighten this, not too much. Let's take a bit of stain from there. Again, this is just lifts a bit of stain. It doesn't make it too wet, and it means I can pop it back in. It's better. I want to have like a pile of snow up against something there. Side of his house, okay, or her house, their house, even. That's popped that forward. Good. Now, I might change this in a second. I'm just having a bit of snow up there, but I want to keep this a relatively dark area. I don't go too bright and woolly on it. Let's put a bit more dark around here and define the roof. And just check that angle. Obviously the angles need to work. Notice those brush marks, crosses. Don't try it when you're putting paint on. Try to make sure that the brush mark isn't always in one direction. I'll spend a huge amount of time on this, but I would like to just get it so it looks the part. Okay, now let's put this second house in. So again, clean the brush. Now we've got this roof coming up at an angle, which I think is quite nice. It kind of works. It's on the hill, but this house now, I'll have the building here going flat, and bring that roof down straight almost. Actually, I think I'll bring it slightly angled. That's better. Right. Add a bit of dark. And this, again, I can't stress enough the beauty of an imprimenta. You're not worried about colour at all. It's wrong pot. It's just light and dark. It's all you're concerned with. Put a bit of stain on there so it pops forward. Good. Now I have a decision to make. Which direction is that going to be in? I kind of feel it could come this way. It's going to be in shadow because the sunlight's coming from this way, so it's shooting across. So, and there would be therefore some shadow coming up across there. Looks like it's hidden. Oops. Don't drop your brushes on the floor. Right. So let's have a quick look here. There we go. So we've got a bit of snow in this area, and I want to just hint a bit of value in there to define the roof edge as well. Yeah, that begins to work. Now, let's just tickle this in. It's very tempting to put it in as black or white. We don't want that. It's got to be values in there. We'll just put the beginnings of a path in. Look at that. Oh, we could keep that. I'm just mindful of something. Let's just have a quick look on this. I think this has grown slowly. I think we need to bring that down ever so. Yeah, I think that looks better. Like I said, this is out of my imagination, so now, so we've got a bit of shadow coming across here. And this is just a dip in the snow, so not too dark. It's not something we need to, it's not a solid mass is what I'm trying to say. So there'll be breaks in it. There we go, and that is the beginnings of our snowfield. I kind of feel this looks it's a little bit too high, so I'm going to lower it down a bit. If it doesn't work, I'll raise it back up again. I'm more inclined to make decisions solely on the design of the painting rather than anything else. I want to diffuse this area out, so I'm going to reduce its luminescence, picking up a bit of the stain and just rubbing it up there. Let's pick a bit of sky up. It'll also help define the tree, or the snow on the tree anyway. If we could just bring this shadow area down. Don't get me wrong, it's still snow, but not as we know it. Let's bring this down don't like anything too flat. Rachel's typing away in the background. Any questions at all, Rach? Please do feel free to ask any questions you want. I think it's really good fun if you do, because it engages us as well. So don't hold back. Soften that in a bit. If it's a hard edge, it's going to bring it forward. I don't want it to come forward, so I'll take that edge away. You can begin to see, even though there's no paint on it, no colours, already this looks like it's further away. And that's kind of nice. Let's put a bit of definition in these trees whilst I'm here. So let's just get a bit of stain. There we go, definition. Bit of a gentle softening. Trees. Let's go again around here. These are nearer because they're taller. So you might have to think a bit harder about these. And because they're nearer, this area is going to be darker. Everything's a bit more contrasty, more colourful. Everything's more. Okay, just a few undefined shapes as we come across. Push those in. And again, soften them out. I don't want anything to be too defined. It's mists and stuff, so okay, that looks a little bit unnatural. Got a Mona Lisa effect here. So let's take these two levels and make them look like they're on the same hill. I was fascinated by why Da Vinci decided to have a Mona Lisa on two different horizon lines. If you look at it, I think the right side is higher and the left side of the painting, the horizon's much lower, as if something in there is obscured and it's stepped down. Might have made a mistake, I don't know. Don't think so. Just a little bit something here. I just don't know. Again, we're exploring this. I've made that lighter. I might push it darker in a sec. I don't know. Yeah, if it's too light, it's gonna be too light. So push that down a bit. And this edge, maybe we need to diffuse that a little. So it's there, but not there as much as it was. Same here. Again, the effect of making it look far away. Okay, now we put some marks on here, do you remember? And they've actually dried. So that's how quick the imprimatur stain will dry on you if you let it. So a bit of clean tissue. Wipe the soft lift-off brush, the 305. I'm going to rub the top. It's a bit wet, this brush, so let's dry that off. Okay. It's actually lifted a bit more than I anticipated. When the brush is wet, it just removes the stain. What we want to do is to have it so that we can build some values. More definitely. I'm going to come back on the buildings in a second, but I'm kind of flitting around the place because I find that fun. And also I'm not committed to anything or any one object at this particular moment in time. So I like to keep that a bit loose. Let's just take that edge out. Okay. We've got a shadow going on there, but don't want any defined edge yet. Might do when I decide what it is, where it's going, how it got there. Okay, taking a bit of the stain and just playing with it. Yep. Take the lifty offy brush, the brush which removes the stain. It's just a terped, so I've got solvent on it, clean brush, and let's just cut some shapes in the snow using this. I'd like to sharpen that edge a bit. This will probably make orange. That orangey-esque snow in the foreground. Orange being a warm colour will make things come nearer to you, and cool colours make things recede. So over here these will be slightly cooler, and hopefully that way we'll get a bit of depth. Want to get a bit of edge on that. And just cut that in a bit more. Jury's still out on whether this is a path or a river, stream, brook thing. Have to wait and see. Keep kicking the bin. Let's push that over. If it is a path, we'll just mess it up. Down here be some sharp edges, and then diffused shapes as we go in the distance. Contrasty near here, not so contrasty down there, and fewer detail as you go around. So there's going to be a bank of light hitting here. So we'll put that in. It's going to help the path brook thing turn. This, in other words. Diffuse that off. Again, I'm very mindful. I don't want to make that too light, because I want the tree to whoosh out at us. Let's just cut that a bit more. Yep.
David would like to know, is it Colbert blue? He apologises if he's gone blank, so he didn't see your colour.
No, that's fine, David. Welcome to the stream. The Imprimentura stain has to be transparent. So cobalt blue, I love cobalt blue. It's a beautiful blue, but it's not transparent. It's not a transparent blue. So instead of that, I use French ultramarine blue. And if I show you that little square, where's it gone? There. If the camera focus, actually, we won't focus on it. Let's try focusing on here. Can you see that little square? Well, that means it's transparent when it's completely clear. And French ultramarine blue, let's put it down here, and raw umber's semi-opaque. You can see probably just it's obscured a bit really there, but the square has a line going through it, and that means it's semi-opaque. Sorry, semi-transparent. In using a semi-transparent brown and a transparent blue, when you mix them together, you get almost a transparent black, and so, or blue black. So that's why we can get all these values, which are really important. If we use cobalt blue, which is opaque, it'll either be on or off. So it'll be dark or light. There'll be no in-between values of different shades of grey or blue, etc. And that's why we use French ultramarine blue. Let's just pop. I want to put a bit of something in here so we can define the tree still, because I've lost a bit of definition on that tree by putting this on. Am I happy with that? Not sure. Let's have a quick look and put that around here. Let's just take all that up a bit. Yeah, I'm just, again, just complicating this tree a little bit. Having this conversation with a couple of our students again the weekend. The concept of painting, doesn't matter what it is, a rock, a fence post, a cloud, somebody's nose, ear or eye, have certain things in common. They have a shape. So if you were to draw a shape of a foot, what defines it as being a foot is its shape. So therefore your foot could be in stone, not flesh. So the colour then defines it as being stone or flesh. If you think about everything that you're ever going to paint in this manner, I believe it makes it a little bit easier to paint and to learn. Simplify everything you do into an abstract, a simplified shape. Every shape has edges, hard edges, slightly soft edges, diffused edges, lost edges, which is an edge you can't see anymore, it's lost. Found edges, which is a lost edge you can now just about see. Blended edges, totally smoothed out, diffused edges. So all these edges form, when you have a shape, form the item of what it is that you're painting. So a cloud will have some very, maybe a couple of hardened edges or sharp edges, but it'll have diffused edges on it. So you get the shape right of what you're drawing, and you do that not by thinking, you do it by visualizing, seeing, looking. If you think about what a ear looks like, you're going to get it wrong. But if you only focus on in drawing what you see, an ear will have a shape. Some of the shapes will be softened edges, hard edges. And in this way, I feel it's an easier process to learn how to paint. Also, you're not, many of our students currently are drawing hands. We've been told for years hands are really hard to draw. So don't paint them, don't draw them. Just draw what you see, the shape. Don't call it a hand because they're hard. Try and take away the pain of everything which we do. I think that really helps when you do that. So here we have just a series of light and dark shapes, softened edges, hard edges, totally blended away edges. Well, it becomes a painting. I'm just lifting a few bits in here. This is looking as though it's that way, so I'll lift it a little bit. I don't want to use tissue on the canvas. This isn't a linen canvas, I think it's a cotton canvas, so it's not as coarse as the linen, but nonetheless your tissue will break apart and it won't look nice. I have a painting with loads of tissues all over it. Right. Yeah, that's beginning to take shape. Okay, good. Now, let's have a look at some more of these shapes. I'm hoping they're going to be, I'll be able to increase on this value of tone. So, yeah, that's dry-esque. Good. So I'm going to rub that over. Just rubbing it to soften the edges. If I added terps at this point, it would go straight back to canvas. See about here. I don't want this to be as bright because it's further away. We've got a sharp edge there. Okay, it's fine. Wash, dry the brush and let's drag some of that value across. This really gives me a sense of what I have to do when it comes to painting. Big decisions are made for me. I don't have to worry about that shape of where to place things. It's going to create a bit of snowfall there. Okay, now here, let's bring that down. Diffuse that distant edge because I don't want it to distract from the buildings. This is still a bit wet, but we'll diffuse that out. Don't ever put the stain on thick and heavy. It is a stain. So just use it as a stain. Also means if you decide when you come to paint this, you want to move something, well, you can easily do that now because there's no big ridge of paint to worry about. Now I've got some value on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some of this in under here and in there. Let's bring this down. We want to create a series of soft light and dark shapes. This is going to be, it's raised, so therefore it's not going to get the sunlight, so it's going to be darker. Cooler. This will be cold snow colour. And here we'll have warm snow colour. So this will be orange, that'll be a blue or a purpley blue grey in comparison. I want to start putting some of these values in first before I start lifting. So let's see this. And then hopefully we'll be able to see how it all works together. It's lifting a bit of the dark across and forming a shape. Nothing more than that. Forming a shadow, I should say. clock the time, see where we are with it. Oh, gosh, we've finished painting by the time. We've got another 40 minutes. Excellent news. Softening some of this. So a quick look at the screen. Yep. Tracing a bit of something there. This is kind of hard edge, so I want to soften that up. It's distant, so I don't want to bring anything forward. Lifting a bit of the wet stain and bringing that down. It's very relaxing doing this. Gosh, it looks like snow already.
We've got a message from Richard King.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Just saying,
Hi, Richard.
It's been a while, but he's loving the work.
Oh, thank you. Excellent. It's well, we first started streaming about 3 weeks ago now, because this is a full stream. We had a few interesting moments with microphones and cameras and things. We're getting those slowly ironed out, and I'm beginning to relax into this. It's a different story being in front of the camera. I've been quite used to being behind the camera, so being in front of it is a different story. But we're getting there. I find when I'm got a brush in my hand, it's like a comforter. Fine. Thinking about it is an interesting thought. That's another story. Here we go. But no, glad you're enjoying it. And do please send us your feedbacks and your thoughts. We are genuinely trying to make this as a pleasurable experience for you guys. It's been a harsh lockdown year, so we're all feeling. I don't want to go too light. I'm going to lighten that up a bit again, haven't I? Just can't get the artists. It's softening that in. It's wet now, so it'll lift and leave a hard edge. I'll leave it till it dries a little. I'll still put that in. I want to lighten just this edge here to make it look like it separates from the hill behind here. So I want this area to pop forward, but not too much. Good, eh? I want to bring this area dark down a little. Yep. And popping that in. Good. So let's just see if we can put a bit more shadow in that zone there. Yeah, that kind of makes more of a feature of this area. I want these two areas to talk to each other. I want to have some kind of conversation with design. Okay, pop that a little bit there, just have that going off into the assistant. And we'll soften that in with the brush, soft brush. Right, so we got this drying on us. This is the area I did. I'm just going to do a little bit more, I think, slight tickle in this area. Dancing around. That's a bit of snow which is just sticking up. And we'll bring this down slightly. Again, a bit of dark in there. And again, nothing hard or sharp on this. Is all distant work, so we'll drop that off. Good. These trees here, these are trees by the way, will have some dark areas to the base. Going into the distance over here, so we don't go too mad. I just want to have some dark shapes in this area. And we'll define these in our painting, maybe. Let's put that in. And then soften that out. We want the shape to be there, but we don't want it looking like a tree. We just want looking at a light shape, tree-esque. That's it. Okay, and really good fun doing this. I really would invite you all to just rewind the video. Rewind the video? I'm showing my age there. Rerun the stream and do your own snow painting. Do your own snow painting. It's good fun. There's no rush. You can replay again and again and again and again. Right, this is dark, so we'll have a mist coming in around here. And we'll just take those away. What's that? So this is completely my world. I've got no idea where it is, what it exists, nothing at all about it. It's a mystery to me as well as everybody else. Slight tickle in there. Complications. So remember we started with this big shape. Now we're going to complicate this to little shapes. Making sure this highlight isn't light, it's in the distance. So we don't mind it being light, we just don't want it too light or too defined. Probably taken a bit too much of it away, but never mind. Let's lift this a little bit. Again, I don't want to go too, this needs to complement the image, not distract from it, so it's got to sing in some kind of harmony and not be the main voice of the song. See if that begins to work. I think it will do if we soften that out a bit. Like I said, the tree is the main dancer in this painting. We don't want any second show going on in the background, which is going to distract. And notice my voice is getting a bit low, so hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. I don't want to break into a whisper. Do get relaxed when you're painting like something like this. Okay. Diffusing the edge, leaving the shape of those light and darks in there. Let's see, weakest part. I'm going to put some more drama in the sky. I don't want it to be a nighttime scene, but I do want to have a bit of drama in this. Again, I want the this tree to really stand out if I can. So it's like I've got a hair there. Never mind. put a bit of value in first, trying to not take out the tree, if I can help it. Oopsie. Yeah, a little bit more value around here. Darkening the top, and this won't be blue in the painting. I'm just want to treat this as a value, as a tonal value. So let's grab some cloth and just work that in to create the effect of a slightly darker tone. Excellent. Yeah, that's worked a bit, I think. Okay, so we've got a bit of light mist coming behind those trees. And the temptation here is to mark off, because these are quite near, which are nearer. Those look like they're nearer than those, but okay. With that in mind, let's tread carefully. Firstly, mess it up. If you can see what it is, then you're seeing too much, so let's mess that up a bit. That's better. Bring that down. Good. So now we've got two brushes, light and dark. So let's go to the light brush. Again, light's coming in from the right. So let's just tickle some light tree-esque shapes in, nothing more. Don't go too wild. Breaking it up as you go. Brush isn't too wet, so hopefully, he says, it's just lifted straight off to the, bless it, never mind. It's just, you know, everything goes according to the great plan. Whenever I'm doing these streams, I only hope that we don't get two friends coming, chaos and bedlam. Or is it mayhem? There we go. Looking a lot like Christmas now. Did I hear someone say, put Santa in? Anybody who knows me knows that's not going to happen. Right, here. It's only a couple of weeks away, isn't it, Christmas? Right. I'm going to soften these out in a second. I don't want them to be too prominent. I just want to hint that there's something there. And also I don't want them to be too, can I say twee? Let's have a quick look around here. Distance. Yeah, okay, that kind of works. Now, I'm mindful if I soften that immediately, because it's wet, it's just going to mess up. So we'll let it dry out for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go over with this. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to take that and just bring it over. So we've got another area behind that. Darken it slightly. I think we've got quite a lot of depth into this painting, considering it's just a stain. So we're now going to work on these near shapes. Let's get this into place. So let's have another try at this, because I left it too late and it went dry, didn't it? So a bit of shape. Do you remember the sharpened edge on the base? And then diffused top. Little bit more diffused than that. Let's have a quick look at that. So I made it wet again now. It's one of those. It's difficult to explain how this works. You just got to trust in it and getting your values. That is, it's just takes practice to know how and when to mark it or rub them off, and when to just leave it so that it's just needs to dry a little bit. It also depends upon it's really what effect you're after as well. Do you want footprints? I think hopefully not. Let's just take that, soften that out a bit. So I've made the top edge of that wet, and I'm just going to try and soften this area out, scrubbing the brush off a little bit. Let's lift off a little bit more. So I'm going to dip the lift off brush into the solvent, and I want to bring this area alive a little bit if we can. And here, light is light against the shadows. Right, so let's see if we can get this shape in. Sharpened bottom edge of the shadow, which of course is a highlight top edge. Bringing that down. When we apply paint to this, we can have a lot of fun with these colours. Purple is the opposite of orange. No, it's not. Blue is just testing. Yellow is the opposite of orange. It's all rubbish when I paint. Let's just pop this in. So that's a shadow because it's just fallen off the edge. Probably don't need to do this as an imprimatur, but it's just such good fun. And of course, you're making your world, which is that's fun in itself. So. Now we've got a highlight here where it's been lifted off. You need to kind of follow the rules a little bit, so shadows will be to the left, highlights will be to the right, and you can have a lot of fun. Really is no right or wrong, and try really hard not to make your painting your precious. Everything you do, you should be able to say, well, I can do it again. Yeah, I'm not going to go too detailed on these. So even in the painting, it's just going to be very mist covered, fog even, I suppose. Right, let's carry on lifting off. I don't want to go back there yet because I can tell they're still wet. Leave it for 5 minutes or so. To do this, just think where the light is going to pop, where the shadow is going to be. And if you get a shape that's nice, well, leave it. Don't worry. These edges are going to be quite sharp-esque because they're right in the foreground. Quite sure sharp-esque is a word, but it is today. Bringing this down. Complicating this out. So remember, we had a big shape. Now we just want to complicate that shape into smaller shapes. Not a word I like using, but I suppose we could call it detail. So don't go to detail too much, too soon. Big shapes, get those right, proportionally correct. And then you can explore the smaller shapes within those big shapes. And if the big shapes are right, well, the small shapes will be easy to do. What happens with a lot of work is that, of course, if you're struggling with the small shapes, probably means the big shapes are in the wrong place. And you're trying to compensate for that. So don't go too worrying on about detail. First instance, get the big shapes in. Second instance, focus on getting those big shapes in again. Detail will come of its own accord. You do not need to rush it. It's got its own legs.
Tony and Lisa audience tonight.
Hello, Tony. Hi.
And Lisa.
Yeah.
And Tony would like to know, is this scene completely from imagination or have you had reference photos?
Tony, hands up. No reference photos at all. It's kind of, I suppose I looked at a couple of Christmas card images, and this is a combination of I think that I got an inkling of what a house looked like, as in like a snow top roof, couple of shadows underneath. So that's the reference for those two. And I think it was a Christmas card image for a tree several weeks ago now. And so I kind of remembered what that looked like, and not to paint the branches as such, or the what are those things called? The pine needles. Not to paint those, but just to paint the snow shape that the pine needles are kind of covered in. So no, this is the whole concept of this is completely out of my head, which says a lot, really, doesn't it? At fast approaching 7 o'clock in the evening. That the purpose of the design of this is that I wanted this to introduce the painting and that to be a centre of where your eye led to, a sort of something at the end of the path, which I'm still not sure is going to be a path or a stream. It's looking more like a path. Let's have a bit of water. But no, it's generally speaking, apart from knowing what a house looks like covered in snow, the sketch has been my only guide, which I think if I brought this down, here we go. Oops. I'll bring it up, as they say. Hang on. That's the sketch I'm working from.
You did a drawing sketch initially, like thumbnail.
Oh, yes. My conscience is on the couch. One must have been Sunday, maybe? I think it was Sunday. I had a sketch pad and a pencil, and I just drew some light and dark shapes as a rough design. So that's how it started. And then from that, I did another little imprimatur painting, which was roughly exactly what the sketch was. And I thought, okay, need to redo this one. And from that, I've done a number of these little charcoal sketches, having decided I needed a wider canvas. And so that's the how. I think if I'd have used a photograph, it would have been a lot easier. But I didn't want to become precious about things. I wanted to have a bit of loose thinking. Or loose anyway. Let's just tickle this in. I want to use a bigger... I'm just softening the effect of this. This is I think it's a 1/2 inch blender from Rosemary & Co. And I just want to tickle this in. So the rough shapes of light and dark are there, but they're toned back. This is not a painting, this is just what I'm going to be painting next week. So I don't want it to be too refined, sophisticated. I'm just wondering if they're a bit tall. I mean, they're not sequoias, are they? So I might need to bring that down a bit. If this isn't right, and no worries, I'll just raise them back up again. But let's have a look at them toned down. So I've just taken the tops of those line of trees out, pushed it down.
A comment from Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Was wondering how Martin was going to make the foreground on the right interesting. Was was imagining half a snowman. Or half imagining a snowman, I think.
Right. Thanks, Anne. Okay. Yep, maybe. Okay, we could. I've got to visualize a snowman now. Okay, so well, we can do that. Let's. What time is it? Let's have a quick look. 10 minutes. A 10-minute snowman. 2 seconds. I just want to grab this. Here we go. I just wanted to also introduce these little boards to you. They're tiny. Look at the size of that. Again, we use these in the academy to do rough sketches on or paintings on. But get yourself some of these boards and just play. Don't have to do a painting, just play. Right, snowman. Slurp of water. So the size of the snowman is going to determine the size of the tree.
Are you actually going to put a snowman in?
Well, I can always paint it out afterwards. I shall rise to the challenge, Anne. Thank you for that. Where shall we stick it? Let's have a quick look at balance. Yes, okay, so I think it needs to go here. Right, so let's have a look at this. Snowman. Oh dear. I think officially this is the very first snowman I've ever painted.
Richard's got some tips for you.
Oh, get off the camera quick.
So he says 3 circles.
3 circles? I was only thinking of a head and body.
Yeah. Different styles of snowman.
Right, well that's one. Let's have a look. So a bit of terps. I kind of feel it needs to sit about there. And here we go, let's push that in. Now if you get a runner, in other words, like, here we go, look at this. One of those. Let it run. Don't, whatever you do, chase that, because it'll wipe everything off. That's easy to change and repair. Right, so everything has a light and dark. What's a carrot look like? Should I put a scarf on it? No, my voice is going. I'm not used to talking so much. Right, okay. Look at that, perfect. Be kind. Okay, so is that going to look truth against the tree? Kind of feel it might need to go a little bit bigger. Yep, okay, I think that is about right. So we've lifted an area of stain off. And it's not actually, I'm glad Anne you suggested this challenge, because it's reigning true what I was saying earlier about everything has a shape and a value. So if I've got the shape of a snowman right, then we're looking at edges, hard and sharp, and shadows. Right, so that's the bare bones. I don't believe I'm doing this live. Here we go. Right, bit of shadow. What is it? Oh, don't laugh. That's cruel.
I'm laughing at a comment.
Oh, what's that?
I'm not sure I can repeat it.
Oh dear. Thank heavens I've listed this as not appropriate for children on YouTube. Let's push this around. Hardened edge. Right, now a shadow will be the defining factor on that. There we go. Gosh, my very first Christmas tree painting. I think I'll have to give you a real big challenge, Anne, when you come back to class. Ho, ho, ho. Break that down. Right. This is fun. So a quick look. So remember you add a bit of dark and you just soften the edge to get your shape. I think he's melting over at one point. All right, let's should put a scarf on him. It's cold, isn't it? Stick arms. Okay, okay. I don't believe I'm doing this. And what have you suggested I do? Well, I did have some credibility.
Anna said it was a tongue-in-cheek suggestion and won't be offended if you remove the snowman.
Okay.
She says she likes it, but she agrees she's not sure it will do your YouTube correct.
My ratings just might plummet because I put a snowman in this painting.
It is Christmas after all.
Okay, so here we go. You make him a posh snowman. Oh dear. And what have you done? I need a drink after this now.
We're getting some words of reassurance.
Words of reassurance and hope.
Chris says, don't worry, Martin, you can always paint it out, although I'm rather liking it.
Oh, gosh. Where's the robin, precious? I'm not quite sure. We'll be able to see an eye? Maybe. I'm not going to put his nose in. No, I'm not going to put his mouth in either. I think that would be, I think I just made him look miserable. Gosh. Well, please do give me a thumbs up and a like over this one. earlier tonight we did have quite a few subscribers. Yep, that's a snowman. Does it look like a snowman? Don't tell the truth if it doesn't. Gosh. Okay, so what I probably will do is I'll finish the imprimatur off and have it as a part of a recording for the stream. Or it'll be on the YouTube, the Classical Art Academy Online School website in a few weeks' time. It's a snowman. And Rachel's just told me it's 7 o'clock. Guys, thank you ever so much for a really lovely evening. I've totally enjoyed, bewildered myself with this one as well. I hope you've had a lot of fun. Think of a name for the snowman, because we can't just call him Snowman. That's kind of weird. He's got to have a name, hasn't he? Yeah. So, bit of sheen on his hat. Gosh, what have you made me do? Well, it's Christmas. Okay, guys, thank you ever so much for an absolutely lovely evening. Please be safe and look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. Live at 5 on the Classical Art Academy. Do please press the subscribe button on YouTube if you can, and give us a thumbs up, and wish you all well. Thank you ever so much. Bye bye.